So you've got a plan to grow your SaaS business, but you're getting revenues, but it's not quite as fast as you want to get them. The growth is not quite right. What do you do? So in a prior episode, I talked about how to actually build a go-to-market machine, how to build a growth strategy for your SaaS business. In this episode, I'm going to dig a little bit more into how to diagnose stalled growth. If things aren't going as fast as you'd like, what do you do? What questions do you ask? I'm going to dig into that in this video. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help you navigate the path to the next stage of growth for your SaaS business. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified every single time I drop an episode. It's about 2 to 3 times a week with the TK energy. Also, if you're already part of our community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, welcome back. It's really great to have you here. So on this episode, I'm going to dig into a little bit around once you've actually created a growth strategy for your SaaS business. This is something that I covered in a prior episode. I'll link to it below if you haven't seen it yet. You don't have to go to it right now. What do you do if growth is unsatisfactory? What do you do if growth is stalled? What do you actually do to diagnose a stalled SaaS business? Now, the word stalled, like you may like it, you may not. It may be unsatisfactory growth or stalled growth, or your company's dying. Any one of those cases, this video is going to be helpful for you because I'm going to dig into exactly the questions to ask to diagnose what's going on with your growth strategy. This is a set of questions I learned to ask from working with countless SaaS businesses, SaaS founders, and also building and exiting my own SaaS businesses. So as you know, every great SaaS business is built on these 3 pillars. You have your product strategy, your market strategy, and your go-to-market strategy. And in that prior video, I walked you through exactly how to craft the strategy for your market, product, and go-to-market. Again, if you missed it, I'll link to it below. You don't have to go there now. So in this video, I'm going to go through the same thesis and the same thought process, and we're going to dig into what questions to ask for each pillar of your SaaS business to help you diagnose growth. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button and let's dig right into it. So the first one is your market strategy. I like to start over here because if you're not in a great market, nothing else matters. You can have an amazing product, you can have an amazing team, an amazing go-to-market strategy, you can raise millions of dollars, but if you don't get into the right market and serve that market's important and urgent problem, then none of it will matter. If you're unsatisfied with growth, the first place to look at is your market. Now, the first thing I would look at when I look at the market, when I'm talking about this with the CEO who I'm working with to help kickstart growth, the first thing we'd look into is who are the direct competitors in this market that are absolutely killing it or close to it. Here's the thing. I used to hate competition. When I started ToutApp, there was really no competition. And then pretty soon, a whole bunch of competition arrived. The biggest one was Yesware. And I absolutely hated the fact that there was a direct competitor. Looking back though, it was one of the best things ever. The best thing you can ask for is to have one direct competitor that you're just gunning for. You're going head to head. It propels the internal team, but more importantly, it tells you that there's something worth fighting for. There's a market to actually go after. Now, beyond Yesware, Outreach came out, SalesLoft came out, and now there are a billion different sales engagement tools. But what's really important for you to hone in on to really understand if you're in a good market or not is there a competitor that's absolutely killing it? Because if there isn't, then one of 2 things might be true. The first one is that it's too early. The market is just too early, meaning there's not really a market yet. Doesn't mean you're wrong, it's just too early, and there's a different playbook for that. The other thing could be that, look, there is really just no market, right? There's no market here, there's nothing to solve here, there's no important and urgent problem here, so you better figure out where your market is and what urgent problem you're solving, because right now there isn't anything. So I used to come at this, as like baby TK. I looked at it as like, oh, I want to be in a space where there is no competition. But the truth is, having at least one direct competitor is a good sign that you're in a good market. Because human beings are smart, and no company is a unique snowflake. If a bunch of people aren't going after a specific problem, that means it may not be that lucrative of a problem, or that urgent of a problem, or that important of a problem. So the first thing is, are there direct competitors? The second thing I would look at is a lot of times also you may say like, no, you know what, we have a lot of competitors. Then it becomes a little bit more of a question of, okay, maybe there's a better segment of the market. So the second thing I would look at to diagnose your market strategy is there an underrepresented segment in the market? So a lot of times it's not the case that you don't have any competitors. It just may be like you are just too crowded. You're in a very, very crowded market. In that case, what you really need to do is figure out a segment of the market that is actually underserved. If you can find a segment of the market that's underserved and you just focus on that and craft your market strategy around that and your strategic narrative around that and your messaging and your targeting around that, then you can actually rise above. So in conclusion, for principle number one, when you're looking at your market strategy, find the competitors, figure out what they're doing. Are they killing it? If not, then you're in trouble. If they are, then figure out what they're doing right. And number two, is there an underrepresented segment of the market that you can go focus on? All right, so that's your market strategy. Those are the two biggest things. If you just focus on those two things, I promise you, you will actually start to unlock some growth if you actually look at it in an objective way. Once you've done the market strategy piece and diagnosed that, the second piece is your product strategy. And the first thing that I always look at when I'm working with a founder is what is your core product loop versus your knit features. And I fell into this trap. I learned it the hard way with my team. It's very easy to fall into the one more feature trap. I've talked about this in this channel a bunch of times before. It's very easy to think like, oh, we're just this one feature, or if we have this one feature, then we'll win everything. It's never the case. Great products and great SaaS businesses are actually not built on more and more and more features. They're built on great feature loops. They're built on product loops. The difference is that with the product loop, you focus on what is the job that's actually getting done and what is the set of paths that you need to follow to get that job done as fast as possible and as effectively as possible. That is more important than that one more feature that your competitor may have launched. And it feels like you're going to lose every single deal if you don't have that feature, but in reality, that's not the case. What people care about is the overall experience and the overall loop. And that's more important than anything else. So go and look at, are you guys focused way too much on just one more feature, one more feature, one more feature? Or have you actually articulated what is your core product loop? The path to an aha moment, the path to an actual result, and have you optimized that as much as possible? When you do that, everything else becomes a lot easier in terms of your growth strategy. Your customers get a lot more value out of your product, churn goes lower, and it becomes easier to demo, and it becomes easier to sell, and growth takes off. So for your product strategy, figure out what your core product loop is versus knit features. And the second thing to look at is ultimately people are hiring your piece of software to do a job in their company. That's kind of what it is. It's like a robot employee in a way. And what matters the most is are they able to do the job? Are they able to get the result faster, easier, or in a more integrated way? Those are some questions to ask about your product strategy to make sure that you're competitive in the market. If you're the fastest in the market, that's one way to actually rise above. If it's the easiest to use in the market, that's one way to rise above. If you're the most deeply integrated in the market, meaning like, for example, with ToutApp, we were integrated right into Gmail, and everyone else was, but we also integrated right into Outlook. That opened up a whole new market segment that our competitors couldn't get into for a very long time. So being much more deeply integrated actually helped us a lot more. Asking the question of, in your product strategy, what is the core product loop versus the knit features, and also are you faster, easier to use, and more integrated, more deeply integrated? Those are things that can unlock growth for you in terms of your product strategy. Okay, now we're gonna go to principle number 3. That's your go-to-market pillar. I have a bunch of stuff on that, but before we do that, let me just pause here for a second. If you are getting insights on this, if you're already getting some aha moments on like, okay, we can tweak this in market, we can tweak this in product, first of all, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also share in the comments below on what you've come up with so far. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get your insights so that we can have a real dialogue on how to drive more growth for your SaaS business. Also, if you're thinking deeply about how to drive growth for your SaaS business, at the end of this video, I'll tell you more about my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. It's completely free. I'll link to it below and I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video. But let's go into principle number 3 now. Once you've covered market and product, then you get into go-to-market, your go-to-market strategy pillar. And how do you diagnose that to unlock growth? The first thing that I look at in the go-to-market is, are you in every deal your direct competitor is in? Once you've identified that direct competitor or a set of direct competitors, the question I would ask you is, are you in every deal? Like truly, if you're creating a new category and we really honed in on like, this is the category we're gonna own, this is the nascent thing, this is how we're gonna be $1 billion company, or we're gonna take a significant slice of it. The question to ask yourself is, are you in every deal that your competitor is in, your direct competitor is in? Why do I ask this? I don't expect you to be in every single deal, nor is that totally possible. Like for example, HubSpot is not in every deal that Salesforce is in, like that, I get that. But I think it's a good litmus test to understand, are you at par in terms of your go-to-market strategy, in terms of your go-to-market prowess, in terms of your go-to-market reach with your competitors, or are you well behind? If the question to ask for yourself is, for every deal that you're part of, is it a competitive deal? Is your competitor already in it, right? And then the question is, well, are they in all of our deals and we're in all of their deals, or are they in way more deals than we're in and we need to catch up? Because that'll help you understand if you're getting enough market coverage. If you feel like you guys are all in the same deals and there's pretty good coverage, then it's a different playbook to actually tweak what you need to do versus if you don't have enough coverage as your competitor. There's two different levers to think about there. Okay, so once you've figured out what the competitive dynamics are, like who's winning, who's not, are you in every deal that they're in? One thing I like to look at is look at all the logos in the competitors page and see if you were in those deals or not. That's a good way to understand like if you have pretty good coverage or not. If you don't have a good coverage, if you're not in all the deals your competitors seem to be in, that means that you don't have a solid enough go-to-market machine. And we'll talk about how to fix that. The other thing you want to get a good idea around is to identify if you've got a market problem or a sales process problem. Do you have like a market awareness problem or a sales process problem? A lot of times, companies that I work with, their marketing is fine. They have enough awareness in the market, people are looking at them, but they just lose the deals. In that kind of scenario, it's more of a sales process problem or a sales enablement problem, or it could just be like a differentiation problem. Other times, you have companies that just haven't invested enough in marketing, right? Forget the salespeople, forget them actually getting into deals. They're not investing enough in marketing to build that awareness to get into those deals, to have a differentiated enough message, so they have more of a market awareness problem. And so this is one of those things where don't try to over-engineer the sales process problem until you solve the market awareness problem. So figure out which one you have first, which one is the bigger problem. So this one, I could do an entire episode on this, and if you want me to go deeper into the go-to-market machine and how to diagnose them, put it in the comments below and I'll prioritize that video. I will leave you with two things. Number one, you should figure out what your CAC to LTV ratio is also when you're digging more into this go-to-market pillar, right? I did an entire video on this. You can check it out here. I'll also link to it below. You don't have to go right now. Actually calculate your CAC to LTV ratio. That will tell you if you are under-investing on sales and marketing or over-investing on sales and marketing. When you start to look at the competitors in the space and figuring out if you're in the competitive deals, that will also tell you how much coverage and awareness you have in the market. And once you start to look at your sales process and your win rates, you'll start to understand if you have a sales process problem or more of a market awareness problem, right? And when you look at the CAC to LTV ratio, it'll tell you if you're not investing enough. Those are the things that I would look at to really diagnose how to actually get your go-to-market machine to be humming. Now, here's the thing. I covered your market strategy and how to diagnose it. I covered your product strategy and how to diagnose it. And I honestly think I covered about 10% of everything that you can do to diagnose your go-to-market strategy. And I don't want to do it disservice because this is a little complicated. Like your go-to-market machine, building a differentiated go-to-market machine, there's a lot to it. And these are some just some initial tips to start getting you thinking about it. If you are thinking deeply about how to build a go-to-market machine, how to build a differentiated go-to-market machine, then I encourage you to check out my SaaS Go-to-Market coaching program. Inside of that, we help you build a differentiated go-to-market machine so you can go head-to-head against your competitors, so that you can drive up the market awareness, you can drive up the thought leadership, and you have an amazing sales process. There's 3 parts to the program. We help you craft your ideal customer profile. We help you craft your manifesto, which is your strategic narrative, and we help you run a Broadway show, which drives market awareness and then leads to more sales conversations. You can check out more details about that at tkkader.com/GTM. You can apply to join the program. Also, I have one more thing for you. You can go check that out. There's some resources in there. If you are building out the growth strategy for your SaaS business, you're diagnosing what's working and what's not, I invite you to download my 5-point SaaS Growth Strategy Guide. It's completely free, and in it, I go into more questions that you can ask across these key pillars on how to drive growth and how to craft a 1-page strategy. So just go to getunstoppable.com/strategy or just follow the link below. And you can go download that guide as well. You can go check out more details about my SaaS Go-to-Market program if you'd like to work with me to build out a differential go-to-market machine. And also I'll link to the video that I did on how to actually create a growth strategy. This video was around how to diagnose your growth strategy. So tons of resources there for you. If you got value from this video, be sure to smash that like button. It'll mean the world to me and my team. Also, if you have a friend, a team member that would get value from this, please share this video with them. Use the click to tweet link below if you want to share it on Twitter. I'm really active on Twitter, so be sure to add me on Twitter as well, and we can chat over there. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business, but when you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.